out. So this is the picture that you saw on the tote. And Everett's had helped me out by making this. It's just like a one-pager. And it has all 3 stickers that are necessary for the tote. So instead of sticking these stickers every time on the tote, we just have a one-pager. And that needs to be placed in 3 different places on each battery tote. What this does is it has who it's from, me, who it's going to, and then the special permit number, which I'll get into in a second. And then it also has the 3 stickers that are required by the transportation company for shipment of hazardous waste. And I put that on side 1, and then on the opposite side, and then on the top. So if you need something like that, it's really great because you can just color copy it in the Xerox, and then what I do is I laminate them. So when I'm sending an empty tote out to a village, I stick 3 of those in there and the special permit and send it back to the village, and then they can post it on all 3 sides, protect our air carriers, and be doing things right. Okay. I've been working with Interstate batteries. Are any of you working with Interstate? Okay. I've also used a couple other battery recyclers, but I've found that Interstate Batteries is very willing to help out, and they have this special permit. It's a DOT special permit that you have to have located on your tote of batteries. If you don't have that, you're basically sending an illegal shipment. So what we do is, and nobody's allowed to tell you to do this, so that's why I'm going to tell you, because I'm not a shipper and I'm not DOT. But it's a packet of about 7 pages. And so what I do is I take this special permit, a copy of that, I fold it up, I put it in a Ziploc bag, and then I send one of those to every village, and they just tape it to the battery tote. And boom, you've got your special permit located on the outside of your tote. It's, you've got your sheet with your stickers on it, to, from, and you're good to go. So those are the things that are required for shipment, for proper shipment, and I would encourage you, if you need any of those things, you can contact me, or you can contact your air carrier. You can tell them what you've seen and what you would like to have. Like if they just give you some stickers, you can ask them to help you put it on a sheet like that. So, let's just make it easy so that we get it right and so that everybody's protected. So yeah, if you could get back to that. Another thing that I really want to stress is that if you're going to make a shipment, you need to let everybody know. Recently, there was a place that sent some hazardous waste to Total Reclaim, but they never called Total Reclaim to let them know this stuff was coming. And it ended up being a big fiasco because Total Reclaim wasn't expecting it. Who is the recycler who was to be receiving these goods. And then there was a problem with the shipment because it leaked. It wasn't properly packaged. And that compromised the air carrier. And so really, I just want to encourage you, if you're shipping hazardous waste, not only to label properly and to do your paperwork, but to know exactly how to package things and to let people know down the line. Let the shipper know this is who it's going to, and then let the person who it's going to know to expect it. Okay, so I would like to introduce Paul Abad from Everett's Air Cargo. And yep, he's going to tell you a little bit about the shipping paperwork from an air carrier standpoint.
Everett's Air Cargo is an Alaskan-owned and operated company. We operate to 12 major hub villages all throughout Alaska, including Nome, you see a while ago. And we also work with other downline carriers that let us service up to 130 villages all over Alaska. And one of the big issues that we've had are had the responsibility of identifying, properly packaging, labeling, and documenting hazardous materials are the shipper's responsibility. And the issue is that majority of those people are not properly trained or are not familiar with shipping hazardous materials, I can assure you that we are here as your resource to assist you or guide you in the right direction to properly identify or guide you on determining the best way to package hazardous materials. And we also provide training to our station agents, to all of the hubs that we work with, for them to handle hazardous materials. And this is usually the paperwork that a shipper needs to fill out, that needs to accompany their shipments, their airway bill, in order for us to properly ship hazardous materials. All of those fields that have been filled out are the required fields. Just ensure that all of those fields are correct, contains the correct information, your name, address, and phone numbers, and make sure when you are writing those information that they are legible, that the next person who would read it or look at the paperwork can readily read the information, especially the information in this area that describes the items, the hazardous items. And like I said again, it is the shipper's responsibility to fill this out. But we, as a carrier and with our agents, are readily available as your resource if you have any questions on how to fill this out. And we would provide you with whatever guidance, cheat sheet. I think one of the example is in here. A cheat sheet like this to identify if your items or your shipment is a hazardous material. And this is usually the first document that you would want to look at before you fill out the hazmat paperwork. Oh, this is the cheat sheet that I was talking about that you would initially need in order to identify your item as a hazmat. You need all of these information to fill out the hazmat paperwork in here. So that would be your first stop to fill out the hazmat paperwork in here. And if you guys don't have this readily available, you could ask us, Everett Air Cargo, or our stations out in the bush communities to provide you a copy of that.
This is the first form that you would be filling out at Everett's, and this is the shipper's form. So what this says is, this is what you would fill out even for non-hazardous materials. So say you were sending electronic waste. That's actually not considered hazmat, and so you would fill out a form like this. And the important things to have on there would be your name and address and a phone number. So it doesn't have any specific spot for your phone number, but you really need to make sure that you put that, because if there's any problem with this shipment, they need to be able to get a hold of you. So that's really, really important. And what Paul was telling me was that sometimes if people use a copy like this and they take it with them to the airport to fill out, to look at, okay, how do I do this? To not copy this portion of it. So you can take an example like this, what you have right here in this packet, but I would encourage you to erase that middle part or white it out, because you're going to need to fill that out separately and differently every time. But what I do is I take a sheet like this that's filled out with me, and that way I get it right every time. I can remember, okay, address, phone number. I already have Interstate Battery's address on there. I don't have to look it up. I've got their phone number right there. Okay, it's going Nome to Anchorage, blah, blah, blah. And then I look at this middle section right here and fill that out according to the need at the time. Again, they've said that they've had a problem with people accidentally filling the wrong thing out there, and that's a huge, that could be like a $20,000 fine like that, or more. It could be even more. So really you're putting yourself at jeopardy, the company that you work for, and then the air carrier. So please be very careful of that, and know that that's probably the most important thing on this. And so you can see at the time it was 12 cents a pound. They can't fill this out for you, but they can help you fill this out. That's the backhaul rate I was getting, and then a fuel surcharge, and then taxes, and then the total. And you know, what I do is I take this, I scan it in so that I have it digitally in my computer, and I keep a listing of all my shipping forms. And it's really, there's a lot of data on there. It's like, oh, okay, how much does fuel surcharge fluctuate? You know, what's the increase in tax? And I can see the increase in the price of fuel as well, and just be able to track everything. So that's a shipping form that if you ship with Everett's, you're going to see something like this, or probably any air carrier. Okay, again, this is the hazmat form that would accompany that shipping form. So if you're sending out lead acid batteries, you're going to have 2 forms, and this will be the second sheet. You can see right here it says UN 3166, and so those of you who've taken the hazmat course, HazWOPR, you're familiar with what that would mean, and you would find that in this book, and also that's located here on this cheat sheet. And so what I'd like to show you on this one, if you take it, the second column over has the UN numbers. So no matter what you're sending, if you're sending Freon gas, if you're sending transformers filled with oil, if you're sending lead acid batteries, that's going to probably be listed on this sheet. If it's not in this sheet, it's going to be in your CFR. So that's where you would find this UN number, just in case you're wondering, because that's really important to know. Second column here. What class it is, it's class 9. That's in the 3rd column here on this cheat sheet. So you can see how it's filled out there. Don't copy it because you might be sending not 2 ATVs like what's listed on there, but you might be sending lead acid batteries or something. And then noting the ERG page. I believe it's a page. The reference into this book right here. So, you know, it shouldn't be intimidating, but there are a few things to know about filling out hazmat paperwork. And hopefully this is something that you can take with you. Keep it in your car when you go down to send things out. You've got your cheat sheets there. Make sure you're really careful. If you can't find it on here, ask your agent for help, because they want to help you fill it out properly just as much as you want to get it right. Now, okay, so has anybody here had experience with sending out on the barge? All right, so this is a bill of lading, and in all honesty, I have never filled out the paperwork for barge because they have always wanted to get it right, and they've just taken care of it. And because it's a free shipment going back, it's not processed like other backhaul would be. So I don't know have you ever had to do the paperwork? Nope. Okay, so
Besides the stickers.
Right, okay, so stickers are really important, but as far as paperwork goes, you may not ever be faced with doing the paperwork for barge, okay? And that's why I'm including it here, because we want to make sure that we're familiar with these things. A bill of lading is like the shipper's form for air cargo. It's the thing that you would fill out, hazmat or not, who it's coming from, who it's going to, and then you have a copy of that here. And I was really trying to get somebody from the barge to come down here and help me with this part, because like I said, I've not done it myself, but anyways, here you have the example of it, and I'm sure that if you ask for help, they would be more than willing to help you fill it out properly. So the next one. So now the funny thing about this, I had contacted Crowley's. They've been great at helping us with things, and I was talking to Endel more, and I said, oh, can you send me a sample of a hazmat form for barge? And he sent me this, and I wrote him back. I said, Endel, you sent me a non-hazmat form. I wanted a hazardous waste form. And he said, and I said, but these things that are on there, you can see right here, used oil, oily sludge. I mean, clearly those are hazardous materials. So why is this on a non-hazmat form? And he said it's because of the amounts. The amounts were small enough that they are not considered hazmat. So this would be another form that you would fill out that it doesn't qualify for hazmat. But anyways, that was the form that he gave me, and I wasn't actually able to get a hazmat form from him. But my suspicion is that this might be what we would be using a lot of the time. If you're not sending back a huge amount, it might end up going on a non-hazmat form just like this, but filled out, put down the same way. Again, you know, the really important things are who it's going to and who it's coming from. Because oftentimes what I've heard from the recyclers is, well, we got a package, we don't know who it's from. It's a bunch of stuff that wasn't properly packaged, and we're really concerned. And that type of activity puts us all at jeopardy, because then all of a sudden the recycler says, okay, we're having to pay a lot to clean this up, and we're not making, you know, our ends meet, and so we're not going to be able to provide a service to rural Alaska to keep helping you out. So the way we can protect ourselves and protect each other is to properly package things, let them know it's coming, and take responsibility for the things that we're shipping out. And that way they can continue to help us to get these things out of our communities. So who it's going to, where it's coming from. Again, you can use that cheat sheet for anything that you need, the UN numbers and what it's called, the different classifications. And I'll talk about the classifications really briefly. So hazard classification system. So all your people at the airport or at the barge are going to be really familiar with these classes. They have to look at these things all the time. This Code of Federal Regulations, I mean, this is something that's just like sitting around in cargo bays everywhere because they have to flip it, you know, and it's pretty much always to one spot. My husband works in cargo, so I know it's like always sitting there. So it looks like an intimidating book, but once you learn how to use it, it's really pretty easy. But it's also really important to know. So in this little tiny ERG book, it has all the hazard classification systems, which are right there. And, well, why are these important? What do these tell us? These are the placards that'll be like on the outside of a big truck or a tank or something like that. And if you're familiar with the placards or labels, you will know instantly what you're dealing with. Okay, I'm behind a truck that's carrying something explosive. Not going to run into the back of that truck, right? So, or it has a flammable liquid and that's dripping something. Not that it would be, hopefully, but it'll tell you instantly what kind of hazardous material you're dealing with. So the classes are, class 1 is explosives, class 2 gases, class 3 is flammable liquids, class 4 flammable solids, class 5 is oxidizing substances and organic peroxides, class 6 is toxic substances and infectious substances. That would be scary to have a leak of one of those. Class 7, radioactive material. Class 8, corrosive substances. And Class 9, miscellaneous hazardous material. I just read that off because I know it's really hard to read. That gives you an idea of what types of different hazardous wastes are out there, or materials are out there, and why it's important to classify them and to put them into one of those classes so that we know what we're dealing with. We know that if it's going on air cargo, they know, you know, where to put it, how to tilt it. All of those things go into making sure that everything is done properly. If you go to the next one, you'll see, and this, it's such a tiny picture, but really these things are, what are they, 7 by 7 or something like that? They're really big placards like this. And they also, there's labels that, you know, would go, I think they're about 4 by 4. something like that. And the labels are something that might go on a tote or a box if you were shipping that. But these big placards would go more like on a building. So anyway, so these things would be a lot bigger, but they also have the numbers on them, 1.5. You would be able to tell radioactive or flammable liquid, and just by sight, you're able to tell what kind of hazardous material is in there. So the takeaways, I just really wanted to leave you with are don't be intimidated by this kind of paperwork. I want to encourage you to take the step to, if you're collecting lead acid batteries, if you're collecting e-waste, if you're collecting Freon, don't be afraid to get it out of your community. And that's the whole point in collecting it, is to get it out of your community. So take the next step, go ask for some help, and go ahead and start getting on it and filling out this paperwork. Use a cheat sheet like this. Feel free to take this with you so that you have the UN numbers. You have all the information here that you need to fill that stuff out properly. And then lastly, of course, is don't be afraid to ask your carrier for help, because they want to get it right too.